to a new episode of Nonstop Nick Hill. As you know, picking up off of yesterday, I lost my phone, trying to replace it because I need a phone before I leave Addis. So it's going to be a lot harder to find any sort of facilities after I leave the capital city, and I have a flight out tomorrow morning. So I think the phone is probably a lost cause, literally a lost cause. I've been seeing it on Find My, sitting somewhere near some graveyard ever since yesterday night, so I doubt it's still there. My concern right now is that I've got to see what the best way to purchase another phone is, what options are available, how much that's going to cost, and what I can get to really keep myself going for the next few months. But yeah, let's head down, have breakfast, see who I find. I'm sure I'll find somebody who will want an update on my phone situation. I might just tell them, I need to set a hard deadline because I need time to go to a mall or somewhere to go buy a phone. If nothing else works out, I don't want to be left without a phone and also having to leave Addis early tomorrow. So that's a main concern. I might just have to say goodbye at this point. I don't know if proud is the right word, but I'm at least relieved new owner of a techno phone, which is one of these Chinese companies that's just aimed their smartphone production to the markets in poorer countries in Africa, in the Middle East, and now in South Asia as well. I think they've entered the Indian market recently. But I went out with Nabil today. We went out, found the techno store, found another kiosk in one of the malls, ended up buying my phone from the kiosk. It would cost about 14,500 birr, which is about $250, $260, but at least that means I have internet access in my pocket. Then went down to the Ethiopia telecom store, also got some unlimited data for the next week that I'm actually here. And right now, just chilling back at Tillet's Coffee. Let's see what happens. We've still got pretty much the whole afternoon and evening in front of us in Addis. Anything can happen. And then tomorrow morning, I've got my flight to Gondar. So at least I am leaving with the phone in my pocket, and that's a big relief. I've got to set this phone up and everything, and I don't know, whatever, watch it drain me of my data. So I just met up with the guys for lunch after we had our time at Unity Park, and we wanted to try local Ethiopian cuisine, and we figured we would do something with meat like tibs, but today's apparently a fasting day. Wednesdays and Fridays fasting days. So that basically means that you're going to pretty much be eating a vegetarian menu, and that's pretty much what the restaurants are going to be serving you that day too. So we ordered bayanet. And what is bayanet?
Shiro.
That's lentils? Yeah.
No, this is tomatoes. This is shrimp.
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, it's called fruit.
That's more injera? With injera. Okay, so firfir, injera with some salt. Yeah? And then these are all the vegetarian items. So we've got some greens, a lot of lentils, more lentils, some vegetables, and rice too. All with injera. Injera with injera. You all like injera, right? Yeah. Okay. Everyone likes it. I feel like in the US, some people really like it, and some people don't like it at all. There are a lot of people who don't like injera.
It's how day to day.
Yeah. So it's a very polarizing food. I personally like injera. Okay, bon appetit. Enjoy. It's about 7:30 p.m. right now. I'm in my hotel room. I didn't really do much today, as you can see. I mean, I did more than I did yesterday, for sure. Went out to Unity Park, and then went out for lunch, had the traditional bayanet on a fasting day, which means that everyone's typically vegan, so that's mostly what the restaurants will be serving. And then went out, more coffee, had another drink with some guys out on the street who just invited me to sit down and join them. I have just been trying to download the apps that I usually really need on my phone, just get all those accounts recovered, set back up, changed the passwords. But for now, I think I'm just going to have a very quiet evening, just try to get some more online chores done, and then try to get to bed early so that I can wake up and then have a nice filling breakfast and then head to the airport for our first stop outside the capital. I always mention how different these countries in Africa are in the capital city, where you get all the amenities, all the international organizations, all the diplomatic staff. And so the atmosphere has to kind of cater to that crowd. However, it's really outside of the capital cities. When you go out into the provinces, into the smaller cities, you see what actual life is like for the majority of that country's residents. And from just seeing footage from little towns across Ethiopia, some of which we will be visiting later on in this series, I'm very excited to see what that world looks like. So hopefully we've gotten all this petty crime, danger, robbery stuff out of the way for the next few months of our travel. I can only hope so. But with that, I'm going to end today's vlog. There's not really much that happened, I know, but hopefully it will only get better. With that, I will say good night, good evening. Take care, everyone. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Nonstop Nikhil. Today is January the 21st. I'm about to leave my hotel here in Addis Ababa, in the capital of Ethiopia, to head to the next stop on my itinerary, which is the city of Gondar. In about 10 minutes, my airport shuttle should arrive, take us on our Ethiopian Airlines flight directly from Addis to Gondar. After a quick 40-minute flight from the capital Addis Ababa to here, Gondar, I am arrived at my hotel. This is the Goha Plaza Hotel. I believe that's what it's called. I'm not exactly sure, but it's something like Goha Hotel, and it sits right on a hill overlooking the city, which is known as the ancient capital of Ethiopia, because it was here where the imperial rulers would reside and call their capital in the period between the 12th and even up to the 20th centuries. So I just got my lunch, and surprise, surprise, it's injera and more injera again. But the thing is that there's something that will show up on the menu, and you'll see it in a lot of different places, and it'll be chikina. And your automatic intuition will tell you that it's just chicken. Maybe that's the way they pronounce it here. Maybe it's just a loan word that's been taken into Amharic or something, but it's not. And I made sure to search ahead of time, so I knew I was going to be getting beef. But chikina is just like the local name for a different cut of beef that you're going to get, so don't expect chicken. I haven't found chicken in a lot of places on like a more like typical Ethiopian dishes menu. I've not found anything that's chicken related. It's always going to be lamb or beef or something of that sort, so beware. Just arrived at Fasil Ghabi, the main site here in Gondar, and one of the more popular sites actually in Ethiopia. This is actually the main one of 6 palaces located in this compound. That's exactly what Fasil Ghabi means. It means royal compound, and everything here has so much symbolism related to the Orthodox Church. There are 12 gates symbolizing some 12 apostles. I don't know what an apostle is, but yeah, you can just see more so than even like the history. I mean, this was constructed in the 1630s, but even more so than that, there's also a wedding going on. So I love the people watching, people dressed in their traditional clothing, just right off one of the most popular holidays, Timkit, which we saw in Addis for a little bit. And everyone's just out here hanging out with their friends, making reels and the like. But it's really, really cool. Now I'm going to go find my guide. I think he ran away for a second. And just like we've seen from so many parts of the continent so far, there are influences from all over, because these boundaries did not exist like they are today, always. For example, the boundary of Ethiopia would have gone all the way until the ocean, right?
Sorry?
The boundary of Ethiopia would have gone until the ocean.
Yeah.
So you have the trade from the Arabs,
Yeah,
you have trade from Indians,
after that
you have Portuguese coming, Everybody's coming to Ethiopia then.
Yeah, because of Ethiopia land were expanded until India Ocean.
Until the ocean, yeah.
Yeah.
So until like Somalia.
Yeah, it was a part of Ethiopia. Somalia,
Somalia.
and Arabian country was a part of Ethiopia. You know that?
Like Yemen.
Yeah, Yemen it was recently a part of Ethiopia. Yeah?
Oh yeah.
So this is the water tank for reserve water.
Yeah.
But the fish to swim the water to be clean and good water. The fish to ride the water.
Gondar was the seat of the imperial governments here from between like the 12th all the way up until the 20th century, but it's really in the 16th and 17th and 18th centuries when it came to its own. And you can really tell with each of the 6 palaces here, each emperor kind of had his own personality. So some were really into tax collecting, so they obviously had more wealth, and that would also show in their palaces. So this one was actually from an emperor who was very, very fond of collecting taxes, unlike his predecessor. And so this palace would have been covered ornately with all sorts of valuable things like jewels and ivory and gold and the like, whereas some of the other ones would be a little bit more modest. But it pretty much contains everything you need. Like, you've got watchtowers, you've got arches that hold special meaning, and it's also a very functional building, not just something that's for aesthetic purposes. One thing to keep in mind about the Horn of Africa is just its geography, and with its geography comes so much history and cultural influences. For example, you've got a part of the world where sub-Saharan Africa meets the Middle East, meets North Africa, meets the Gulf, meets South Asia with the Indian Ocean, trade and everything that brings. It's really, really fascinating because I'm hearing things about different stages of the history of this site, from the Queen of Sheba, which we associate with, I guess, Ethiopia, as well as Yemen, as well as other parts of the Horn of Africa. And then we also hear about the Jesuits and the Portuguese and Vasco da Gama coming to visit. We also hear about World War I and World War II and how there were battles fought here between the British, who are on the side of the Ethiopian kingdom, and then the Italians, who are really, really trying hard to conquer it and colonize it. Because something we don't think about often is how Ethiopia is one of the few places, and maybe one of the only places in Africa which hasn't been colonized, though many forces tried. As I mentioned, the British, the Italians, and then the Ottoman Turks as well. So we see remnants of all of that here in the architecture and the design. So it wasn't just humans who were living here, there were also animals, and namely lions, because the lion was associated with the figure of Judah, who's famous in Christianity and Judaism. I think so. I don't really know. This is just what I've been told. The more important thing is that people are doing so many reels and stuff around here. I feel like that's what this site is actually all about. That's what I'm interested in watching. The history is nice too, but that's probably what's making it for me, because there is so much that you can learn about the site, but it's actually the people who are alive and standing right in front of you that sort of make the location very, very interesting, because there's a whole wedding party that was coming in at the same time, singing and chanting when I was entering. There is no one look that is Ethiopian. Ethiopians can look like they're sub-Saharan African, they can look like they're Indian, they look like they're Arab, like they're Egyptian. You just find people all across the board, because this has been a location that's just been at the crossroads for so much movement, so much exchange, so much vibrancy of cultural activities here. So I will sometimes just get people who outright will just speak to me in Amharic, and then at other times I'll just get people who instantly call me out as Indian. The strange thing about overhearing so much Amharic here is that sometimes you feel like you can understand an entire sentence of what people are saying, or at least the context, and then there's the vast majority of the time where you have absolutely no idea what's going on. And that's because the language is actually a Semitic language, so it means it's part of the same language family as Arabic and Hebrew. And so geographically, culturally, that all makes sense given where Amharic came from. But at the same time, it's very, very strange, just because it feels so removed from the Middle East and the Arabic-speaking world. But sometimes some of the words are very, very close and are almost cognates. And then the other time, you're just completely clueless. So what I'm gathering is that these royals knew how to relax. They have the infrastructure built for relaxation in all of their palaces. So this one is actually a sauna room right in here. If you crouch down and you can enter in there, and you've got a sauna and a little place for the steam to actually rise as it evaporates into the air. And then they've built a little nook cranny right here for a little cooling room. So if you want to escape the heat, you can get out here. You've got some fresh, cool air coming in from here. And then you could find yourself a little nook to chill right over here when you're just waiting it out before you want to enter the heat again. Hopefully you were able to see that. That seems pretty cozy. I guess it only fits one person. It's a private sauna. But again, you see the influences from the Turkic world, from the Persian world, from the Arab world. You've got baths and saunas and relaxation chambers across all these cultures. This is the largest banquet hall, probably one of the largest rooms in this compound. I mean, you can definitely tell by how small everything else is here. This one was built for many, many people, and this is not the original. This is actually restored by the Italians. Actually, a lot of the structures here are actually restored or renovated in order to become part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site program. But we can still get a sense of what these structures would have been like back in the day. Don't know how else to describe it. There's just so much religious ethno-nationalism going on. You're getting at Ethiopia on my first impression during a time when it's one of the biggest religious holidays. Plus there's like a civil war going on with a completely different ethnicity not too far away from here, maybe even like a 3 to 5 hour drive from where I am right now in Gondar. And then there's a lot of nationalism because anytime there's a war, there's a big rally around the flag effect, especially when so many countries are really trying to put their foot down on Ethiopia for its involvement in the conflict in the north. I'm so interested in propaganda and information restriction methods that Ethiopia is kind of baffling me, because it's not so long ago, maybe even a couple of months ago, that we would have media blackouts, we would have information, that we would have internet being shut down, we would have, reports of maybe like thousands of people being killed by security forces and the like, not too far. And look at it now, it just seems so open. And I know that there's information coming in from everywhere because I'm accessing it. So I don't know if it's just people believing in that ethno-religious nationalism thing so much that they think that their country can do no bad, or if they really, really just don't care and if it's just apathy. Because it's not that far away and it's got to be affecting people. Like, I mean, a whole airport for one of the main tourist destinations here in Ethiopia, Aksum, was no longer operational and is no longer operational because I can't visit it. So it's got to be making an impact. I just don't feel it, but I've only been here like 3 days, so who really knows? For example, in the US, in DC, in Seattle, I've seen so many protests, huge rallies in support or for awareness of what's going on in the Tigray province just north of here, and the entire almost genocide that's taking place there. But you would not even realize that any of that is happening if you're here in Gondar, or when we were back in Addis. It's completely a different story. There are such intense travel advisories for Ethiopia at the moment that you would think the whole country was being literally bombed at the moment, but as you can tell, it's almost barely even mentally impacted. It's really, really absurd, honestly. I just got back to my hotel after taking a tuk-tuk ride from the Four Sisters restaurant. And let me tell you, I'm in a complete food coma right now. All I want to do is just go be horizontal, but I think I'm going to take care of some editing before I completely go to bed because it's still pretty early. There is a wedding party with like loud music playing outside in that gorgeous little amphitheater, pool, everything area that you saw outside of this property. This is actually it's called like Gion, I think. That's how it's pronounced. I don't even know. Property. A couple of decades ago, this was actually like a government-run hotel, and so it's pretty nice. It's pretty emblematic of everything that Gondar kind of like stands for. But that's it for now. I think I'm going to chill, get some work done, as I said, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow for more of Gondar. Tomorrow we have like pretty much the whole day in Gondar, and I don't really know what to do. So I guess we'll figure that out tomorrow. But with that, take care. I will talk to you later. Good night.